Hey, friends, welcome back. I am so excited to be chatting with you all today about the mother wound and how it might be showing up in your business if you're an entrepreneur. And so, just to kind of get some definitions out of the way, what is commonly known as the mother wound is a form of attachment and maternal trauma resulting from a mother who was emotionally unavailable, even if they were physically present. There's so much written about it on Google and lots of books. So if after this episode or this is just kind of like piquing your interest, please go out there and resource yourself. And so, our parents are our first love. They teach us so much about ourselves and the world around us and how we interact and can be a part of the world around us. So it makes sense that this experience, right, having a parent who's emotionally unavailable can be incredibly impactful. And I just want to sidebar here that, I think that a lot of times when we talk about mother wound, people assume that it only affects people who identify as women. And that is not at all the case. I think that most people, like everyone, is impacted by this type of wound to some degree, and I think a lot of that has to do with how parenthood and motherhood is viewed in this country. But we'll talk about that at another time. This wound resulting from having an emotionally unavailable parent can really create a longing within us, right? A longing for love, for support, to be seen and validated, safety, intimacy, right? Like emotional intimacy. And so, if you're not aware of this wounding, you don't know that you have it, you don't know that there might be some unresolved or unexplored wounding when it comes to your mother or really any parent, it can be really, really easy to act it out in your business. Trying to get emotionally from your team, for example, what you've been longing for since you were a child, but from your parent. It's actually quite easy to act it out in any interpersonal or relational dynamic, right? But today we're just going to focus on how you can act this out, in your business, and specifically if you have a team. And so here are a few ways that it can show up. One is poor boundaries with your team, or, this like inability to say no, which can, cause you to move away from processes, SOPs. It can cause you to customize different processes in your business for team members, right? So to accommodate your team members, or the poor boundaries can look like getting enmeshed in your team members' lives, right? It can look like, unconsciously seeking your team's approval by going out of your way or sacrificing your needs or like the business needs to accommodate your team members. And there's a really fine line between caring for your team on a personal level and being completely tangled up in their personal lives. Okay, when you or the business goes without because you are out here trying to take care of your team members, especially if doing so sacrifices the health of your business, you can get into codependency waters, and that can be a little dangerous, right? Please take care of your team. Please pay them, right? Like, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about here is more so enmeshment, or adjusting your schedule to fit a team member, or overpaying a team member because you want to keep them, knowing good and well that your business can't really afford it. That's kind of what I'm talking about here. Another way that this mother wound can kind of show up in your business is keeping team members that need to be let go for fear of being left or being abandoned, right? Fear of abandonment is one of like our deepest fears as human beings. If you have this wound, if you have this fear of being left or being abandoned, and that's causing you to stay with team members, that needed to be let go like yesterday, it's going to cost you revenue, right? It might cost you clients. It might even cost you your sanity. When this is kind of out of your awareness, you hold on to them, right? Rationalizing their poor performance when what's really happening is that you don't want to deal with, or you're maybe under resourced to deal with, the feelings of separation, of someone leaving, right? Especially if this is a team member that you really care about, which is completely normal. I also want to highlight here, kind of going back to this idea of poor boundaries. It can be so ironic when your mother wound causes you to have poor boundaries, because it can also create this vicious cycle. Your lack of boundaries with team and clients can also cause you, if you're like a parent, let's say, or you're a caretaker, it can cause you then to become an absent parent, for example, or an absent caretaker. And if that's something that you experienced growing up, right, like that is the root for you of your mother wound, you can see how this is a cycle that is just being perpetuated, right? You're like literally repeating the same patterns. That's why having the awareness, having this awareness, like really, working with someone, working with a therapist or working with a coach, right? And just like building your awareness around like how you came to be, right? Without judgment, without making a story about it, but just like knowing what your factory settings are. Like you need to know what your factory settings are so that you know what kind of updates you need to make. If you're listening to this, and you find that your experience is being reflected here, you know, be conscious of your inner dialogue. All right. It can be easy to shame yourself or to think like shit. Something's wrong with me, I'm fucking up. Y'all, ain't nothing wrong with you. You're not messing up, right? You're just a human being who's had real human experiences, and it's really common and normal for them to show up in your business, right? Because our businesses can be mirrors. They are mirrors, right? If you really allow it to be. And so here's what I want you to take from this. Being an entrepreneur doesn't absolve you from your humanity. If anything, it amplifies it. Your business can be such a tool for personal transformation. This is why I think it can be so dangerous when, as entrepreneurs, we try to show up as like this, like strong, put together, I have an answer for everything, like business owner, without necessarily integrating our humanity, our humanness, and just like who we are as people. It can really put you in dangerous waters, in my opinion. It can cause you to compartmentalize, and ultimately, it's going to impact what you're here to do in this lifetime. It's going to impact how you put out your gifts into the world. We need to stop the compartmentalizing and really focus on that integration. And also, that can't happen without the awareness again of how and why we do the things that we do. This is also why it's so important as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, as a CEO, to prioritize your emotional health, your mental health, like whatever you want to call it, your wellness, just as much, if not more, than prioritizing business strategy. Okay. You are the leader of your business. If you aren't well, how are you going to lead well? How are you going to lead your clients? How are you going to create products and services that really serve the people that you're here to serve? How are you going to be a catalyst for change? They're so intertwined. How well you are emotionally, physically, when it comes to like your inner health, all of that is just so intertwined with the gifts that you put out into the world. I invite you to reflect on these questions as you kind of think about your factory settings, if you will, right? As you think about how you've come to be, right? Like how your beliefs have come to be, how your ways of thinking, how your ways of being have kind of like come to be in service of redefining, unlearning, and really operating in a way that works for you, I want to invite you to reflect on these three questions. How are you similar or different from your own mother or your parents or whoever your caretaker was as a team leader and entrepreneur? Are there similarities? Are there differences? What are they? How do you feel kind of looking at how you might be similar or different from your mother or your parents or your caretaker? Second question: what did you wish you would have gotten from your mother, your parent, or your caretaker growing up? And how do you get those things now from yourself? Again, this is all in service of really building your awareness, right? And if you don't have an idea of what those needs are that like went, unmet, then it's going to again be really easy to kind of act out and project all of these unmet needs in your other in relationships, your team members being one of them. Third question is, how have you sought validation and approval from others, and has this impacted your decision making in your business? Again, as you reflect on these questions, I really want you to suspend any and all judgment. I want you to suspend any and all stories and narratives. For example, you did seek out validation from others, and that has impacted your decision making. I don't want you to make a story about it. I don't want you to say, well, then that means that I am X. Mm-mm. Suspend meaning making. For right now, I just want you to build your awareness again on why you do what you do. And as I've shared before, if you want support to go deeper, right, and really give yourself the updates that you need on your terms, then please seek out a therapist. Please seek out a coach or some other personal development practitioner that is qualified, is equipped, like really understands these themes, but also really understands your reality as an entrepreneur. I think that all entrepreneurs, all business leaders must have not only someone to support them, business wise, strategy wise, so like a business coach, but also, someone that is going to support them with their personal and their like inner work strategy, if you will. I hope this has been so incredibly helpful. Take good care of yourselves on the next episode.